So when my kids started back to school, we started a new routine that originally was supposed to, we were just going to do for the first week to help them make that transition from being home pretty much all the time to being in school with a ton of other people and a lot more sensory input, right? And it's been working so well that we're just going to keep doing it. And so I wanted to share that routine with the rest of you because either your kids are already in school or they're going back to school really soon. And I think this works whether you are sending your kids out to school or whether you're homeschooling. Just as if you have a kid who struggles with transitions, then this could be helpful for you. So my kids are in kindergarten and third grade. They take the bus to school and home. So what happens is when they come home and they come through the door after getting off of the bus, they grab their juices from their backpacks and they come and sit on the couch with me. My kindergartner generally sits on me because she is a very physical connection kid. She would sit on a person rather than a chair or a couch, really all the time if she could. So my third grader, my son, is much more physically reserved, and he struggles with ADHD and anxiety as well. And so he needs a lot of support around actually focusing and connecting in. He, during transitions, it brings up a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, and that triggers the ADHD even more. And he has a hard time like zooming in. Excuse me. So he generally sits next to me, not touching, but close. And I do my best while we're doing this to touch him frequently, unless he asks for me to stop, which he knows that he can, or if he moves away, like I watch his body cues as well. Okay. So now we're all on the couch. And I talk to them about some really general stuff. I start with big hugs for my daughter because she's, like I said, a physical connection kid, and telling them how much I missed them during the day and telling them something awesome or funny or silly or happy, something good and positive that happened to me during the day. Telling them like maybe what I had for lunch, or if I had a cool snack, or giving them little glimpses into my day, and then using that as a way to ask them about their days. So maybe I got some awesome strawberries from the grocery store, had those for a snack. Hey, did you eat all of your snack at school? What happened at snack time? Who'd you sit with, right? Little check-ins like that. Instead of them getting right off the bus, how was school? Like it's too much for my kids. So we have to ease in, and the physical connection helps. Now, what happens a lot of times is right then, in that very beginning, everything comes pouring out, especially with the kindergartner, right? Either they'll pick a fight with each other in some way, shape, or form, or she will tell me that everything was horrible and she'll just have like a full-on meltdown. Or she will fight against something really ordinary and regular. And you're like, why are you fighting about this? Like, why don't you want to take your shoes off when you come in the house? Something, right? She's looking for a release. And so what I am trying to do in that time when they first come home is reconnect all three of us and hold some space for whatever needs to come out. Generally, she erupts first in some way, and I will just be able to see it. I mean, because I know him, and I've lived with this kid almost 9 years. So, and like grew him, I can tell, right? Like he just ratchets up and ratchets up and ratchets up. But the way he does it is by pulling away. Whereas she just like has that like full on meltdown explosion that we're all kind of familiar with. And so this is really just about creating some space for them to do that in a way where I'm ready for it, right? Where I'm like emotionally and physically prepared to be as supportive as possible in that moment, right? Um, and where they can get it out and like are just a really healthy way. So I just let it all come out and we kind of talk it through, right? I make sure that they don't interrupt each other. I make sure that each of them gets time. Um, Usually once she's done, she'll give me a big hug and then she's off my lap and she's good. She'll be like, do you want to play a game with me? Or do you want to, and that's kind of my signal that like, all right, she's good. She's now transitioned into being home and she's okay. So generally what I do then is remind her to drink her juice and set her up with whatever, a coloring book, a game, her tablet, whatever it is, right? And then if he hasn't really like let anything out or chatted with me about his day, like if it's been hard for him to connect, then I'll turn my attention directly to him. And what works usually is like some type of roughhousing, tickle wars, or we play this like get your nose game that he likes that we've been doing since he was a toddler. Something that isn't emotional probing, right? Saying to him at this point, buddy, it seems like you're upset. Do you want to talk? Like, no, he doesn't want to talk. If he wanted to talk, he would have already done that. Or he may want to talk, but he literally can't get it out yet, right? And so switching things up and just playing a little bit generally gets him to come out with whatever it is. And sometimes it's nothing that he can put his finger on. That's happened a lot, and that actually happened yesterday. I was still feeling like there was something there, and he looked at me and said, Mommy, I don't know what's wrong. I don't like. And then he just stopped, and he was looking at me, and I was like, what don't you like? And he was like, everything. He was just, right? And I was like, dude, me too. Same. You are my kid. I'm sorry. But he just needed, like, once he even said that, it's like, okay. And I validated that, like, yeah, I have times when I feel like that too. Like, I very often don't like anything. And I was like, so everything sucks right now? And he gave me a hug and he was like, yeah. And so we just got, he drank his juice. He was like, do you want some gum? Because that's a thing that really helps him, chewing gum. So he got some gum and he decided to do a puzzle. Like it was, yeah. I think we're just going to keep doing this. Originally, it was just to help them in that first week of school. But as the second week of school has gone forward, they look forward to it. And it's become a thing that is really helpful to them. Also, I have boundaries around it. So once she's like good and I feel like she's good and she goes off to do something, and once he's good and he goes off to do something, I make sure that they have something to drink, that they have some type of snack, that they're doing some type of activity. And then I say to them very specifically, Mommy needs 5 minutes and I will be back at, when we look at the clock and, whatever that 5 minutes is. And I give them that information, right? And then I walk away. Because a lot of times what happens is that my son's anxiety ramps up my anxiety. Or depending on the day that I've had, my daughter's need for that physical support can be really overwhelming, especially if I'm having a high pain day or if I'm having a high fatigue day. It's just like, I need that time. I need to take a break. I need to do some affirmations. I need to just recenter myself. I may need to stretch. I may need to drink some water. It doesn't matter. I need that time, right? And so it has become this routine of like, they come home, we come together, and then we split apart into our own little bubbles for a few minutes. And then we generally kind of drift around each other for the rest of the afternoon, right? She may end up sitting on my lap again, watching a show or reading a book or whatever. But I've taken that time for myself. It's also a time when I can check in and be like, okay, they've got what they need. What do I have left to give? Sometimes I'm okay. And yeah, you can totally sit on my lap for the next half hour. We can snuggle and do all kinds of stuff. And sometimes I'm like, dude, you need to sit next to me, but you can't be on me, right? I have to check in with myself. I have to take that time and make sure and see where I am and how I'm doing so that I know what I can offer them without tapping out my capacity. I don't want to end up yelling. I don't want to end up being bitchy. I don't want to end up being inflexible. I don't want to be, that's not the mom that I want to be. So for me to be able to be the mom I want to be for the rest of the afternoon, I have to take that time, right? And it also just teaches them that they are not the only ones who need things. Yeah. And that they can give space to others and it's going to be okay. Teaches them how to do that. Teaches them how to respect other people's boundaries and give others space when they need it. Right. So yeah, it works for all of us. Okay. So that's my little back to school tip. I hope this is helpful. And if y'all have any questions or if there's any way that I can support you, my email is graham@grahamseabrook.com. And the website is grahamseabrook.com. Come hang out with me here on Instagram. Definitely get on my email list because that's where all the really good stuff is. And you can do that at the link in my bio. All right, mamas, until I see you again, take good care of yourselves.